Hi guys, welcome to another Alice lesson. Now in this lesson, we are going to go over variables, and this might take two parts, so just be prepared. So let's quickly add an object. Any object's fine. I don't even care if it's a tree. Alright, so I put a tree. Alright, so when we talk about variables, if you're really good at math or you do math, then you would recognize that name. A variable is something that holds the value of something. It's like a placeholder. Most of the time in math, when you see a variable like x plus 7 equals 10, we don't know what the value is. But once we get the variable by itself, we find out, oh, x was holding the value of 3. That was the placeholder. X was the placeholder for 3. Alright, so in programming, it's a bit different, and you'll see why. Let's click on create a new variable. No need to create a new method. Alright, so there are different types here. Let's go over them. Number. Number can only hold the value of numbers, alright? And in real programming, number is called integer, or most of the time int. And int could only hold the value of whole numbers, not decimals, no fractions, just whole numbers. But in Alice, I think you can hold decimals, fractions, and all that, because it's numbers. So I think you could. Alright, then Boolean can only hold the value of true and false. Same thing in real programming, true and false. That's what Boolean holds the value of, and you'll see why it can be useful. Object can hold the value of anything in the real world. So it can hold the value of a number or a Boolean or whatever. Alright, so, but in Alice, a basic object holds the value of objects, like camera, light, ground, all the objects in your world. Then other. Now, there's this last one I want to go over. It's called string. And what string is, it's basically text. Same thing in the real world. String holds the value of text. So you can create a variable and it can hold the value of hello world. That's string. That's a string variable. And then if you take this drop down, there's a bunch of other ones that you could play in Alice, but there's really only string, object, boolean, and number in the real world. And that's what I want you guys to understand, is that these variables are not only in Alice but are also in the real world, and they have some similarities. And some of these variables are in the real world too, so I just want to point that out. So in the real world, you'll see string, object, boolean, and number. Let's create a string variable. We'll set the default value to hello world, okay? When you create a variable, always create a default value. Create a starting point, alright? It's almost like a race. In order to get to the end of the race, you have to have a starting line that makes it a complete race. Alright, so the value is hello world, but we're gonna make the name, and we're gonna call this variable text. Alright, so click on the apple tree. Let's drag in a say method. We'll say hello. So it's gonna say hello. Let's set the duration to 2 seconds. Now drag our brand new variable into this, right here, into this yellow area that will turn green. Drag it there. Apple tree say text. Doesn't sound right. We don't want it to say text. We want it to say hello world. But watch this. Click on play. It says hello world. Why does it say hello world? Well, if you're smart enough, then you know that text is the variable and it's the placeholder, or it holds the value of hello world. Alright? So you can actually put a bunch of text here, but it's in the same variable. Alright? Now watch this. Let's drag our variable down here. We're going to set the value other. Let's set it to changed text. Alright? We'll make a copy. We'll drag this down. And I'm going to drag the variable right here. Alright, so let's see what happens. Hello world. Change text. Why did it say change text? I mean, they both say apple tree say text, apple tree say text. Why did it say change text? Alright, so let's take a look at this. The default value of text is hello world. So since this is the first line of code that uses the variable, apple tree will say text, hello world. But then the variable text changed its value to change text. So the apple tree will still say the variable, but to change the variable, it's almost like the latest version. Alright, so that's why you saw hello world then change text, because it changed its value. And you'll see how that can be very useful in the future, because if you're creating a game with points, you know that the point, it always starts with 0. Alright, it always starts with 0. Okay? Say the points is the variable. So the variable starts with 0. Alright? But as you gain more points and more points, your score gets higher, and it changes. It changes to get higher. So the variable's value is changing. Not the variable itself, it's the variable's value. That's what people keep saying wrong. You're not changing the variable, you're changing the variable's value. And that's what I want you guys to understand. So compare this to other games, like if you play Call of Duty, look at how many points and what your rank is in Call of Duty, and see if you can try to find the variable in those games. Alright, and even in science, they have something called a variable that will change. So you'll see that variable very commonly has a meaning that's related to change. Alright, so that's all for now. Take your time on this and try to see on how you can find on how variables compare to the real world, and try even finding variables in some games or animations that change. Alright, so that is all for this lesson. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope it helped a lot. Thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.